We haven't had a patch in about 2 months now. That's because we've been working on a couple of big things that have taken quite a lot of time to get into shape. The first one you can see here, Tommy completely redesigned and rebuilt the pathfinding system for all the NPC animals, so they know much better where they should be going and where they should be avoiding. So they avoid steep areas, but they don't get trapped like they have in the past and end up running in circles because they just can't find an exit for a tricky navigational situation. They're also much better at avoiding rocks and trees. So just all around much smarter than they were before. So that turned out to be a big job, but it's almost done now. Tommy's just doing some final tweaking and refining and optimizing of it. The other big thing is full controller support. Andre's been working on that for 2 months, and it's just about done now as well for the Xbox controller. And as soon as we get this finalized, we will be doing it for PS4 and Steam controllers as well. You know, I think WolfQuest is really well suited for playing it with controllers, with the steering and action buttons, but there's a lot to pack in. So we have got the updated controller mapping graphic here. Andre's now working on hooking up all the new controller inputs into the tutorials and the game help, so it'll be easier to understand what you do when, but for the moment you have to refer to the controller map here. Got some nice things like here you can do the right D-pad to do your favorite emote, and you can then go into the emotes panel and choose your favorite emote by just selecting it and holding down on the right D-pad to highlight it and make that your favorite emote. We've also made a lot of other smaller but nice improvements, I think. I showed the new snow on the cliff rocks a few weeks ago. I also mentioned that we improved the fogginess when it's raining and snowing, which I think that's much more realistic now. All sorts of other minor things, tweaks and improvements. And so we're really excited to get this out into your hands. But as you might have noticed, I had a lot of qualifiers there in these new things, the pathfinding and the controller support. Neither one is quite finished. There may be some bugs in there. There's still some refinements that we want to do on both those new systems. So we've decided to do something new here, and that is a public beta. So if you're keen to get your hands on this improved version, it's available now on Steam only right now, just because Steam makes it really easy, and the itch.io version, there's not really a way to have a public beta, unfortunately. But if you're on Steam, just in the Steam app, go over to your library and right-click on the WolfQuest Anniversary Edition name, and then choose Properties. And then in the Properties panel, there's a couple tabs there. Go over to the Beta tab, and there is a beta option there you can switch to. Choose the WolfQuest Current Beta. Choose that, and Steam will just start downloading the beta build. That'll take a little while, and then you can play around with that. And if you like it, you just keep using it. We'll probably update it every few days with some fixes and improvements before we go live with it. If you don't like it, if you find a bug that's really bad, or for whatever reason just want to switch back to the public version, you just go here again and say opt out of the beta, and then it'll switch over and download the current public build from early November, and you'll be back to what you had before. So it's very easy to switch into the beta and switch back out of it. And so we hope at least some people will give it a try, do some beta testing for us, send in some bug reports with the F11 report form. And if you are going to submit a bug report, here are a few tips on what's going to make it as useful as possible to us. We get a lot of bug reports, many on the same issues, so that can be helpful to get different angles on that. But we get a lot that we can't really do much with because they just don't have a lot of information in them, or we just can't reproduce them, which is a whole different issue. But if you want to make your bug report as useful as possible, we really need a lot of detail. So here's an example from one of our beta testers. Mother won't break off from the herd, but she gives a short summary of the problem and then details to give us more context about when it happens, how common it is, what's happening when the bug occurs, and then instructions on how to reproduce it. And this is really the most important thing, because if something weird happens and you don't know why it happened, submitting a report is good because we can look at it, we can load the save game, we can look at the log file, and that might have clues. But if those don't directly point us to what's going on, having some instructions on how to reproduce it is extremely helpful, because then we have a much better chance of reproducing it and then being able to analyze it right at that moment in the game that it's happening and look at all the different things happening in the game and see what is causing it and then try to fix that. So if you're interested, get the beta. You can tell which version you have by the version number down here in the lower left corner of the main menu screen. It shows this is version 1.02 beta 8, and the last public version is 1.01a. So we hope some of you at least will try the beta version and see how it's working for you. Let us know, both through F11 bug reports as well as this new Steam public beta discussion forum. And it won't be too long before I think it'll be ready enough to make it official. And then we're going to get back into Slough Creek and pups. This stuff has kept us away from that longer than we had hoped, but it's important stuff for the core simulation. It affects almost everything you see. Along here, Miko has been working away on multiplayer, so that is getting closer as well. And we will keep you updated in future blog posts.